The sky over London erupted in chaos as alien warships descended with a precision that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Their sleek, obsidian hulls reflected the burning city below, their weapons slicing through human defenses with surgical efficiency. The invaders, known only as the Threxel, had come to Earth with one purpose: conquest. But amidst the panic and destruction, a group of human engineers and hackers huddled in a dark, underground bunker. They were not soldiers, nor were they scientists. They were the kind of people who had spent their lives navigating the shadowy corners of the internet, breaking through firewalls for fun and testing the limits of digital security. Now, they were humanity's last hope. The leader of the group, a wiry man in his 30s named Marcus "Bite" Harper, stared at the live feed of the Threxel fleet on his cracked monitor. His fingers twitched nervously as he processed the scope of the invasion. "They're using some kind of quantum-based operating system," Bite muttered, his voice tinged with frustration. "Their encryption makes our stuff look like children's toys." Across the room, a young woman named Tara Cipher Lee leaned back in her chair, chewing on the end of a pen. "Quantum or not, it's still just code. If it has vulnerabilities, we'll find them." A third voice chimed in, a gruff, older man with a thick beard named Jake "Patch" Evans. "The problem isn't finding the vulnerabilities. It's surviving long enough to exploit them." Outside, the battle raged on. Earth's military forces had mobilized, but their weapons were laughably outdated compared to the Threxel's advanced technology. Tanks were vaporized, jets were shot out of the sky, and entire battalions were reduced to ash in seconds. But what the Threxel didn't realize was that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its firepower, it was its ingenuity. In the bunker, Bite and his team worked tirelessly, analyzing intercepted Threxel communications and studying the patterns of their attacks. Hours turned into days as they pored over the alien code, searching for a crack in the seemingly impenetrable system. And then, one night, Cipher found it. "Bite, you need to see this," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "Their entire fleet is networked. Every ship, every weapon, every system. It's all connected through a central hub." Bite's eyes widened as he processed the information. "You're telling me, if we hack the hub, we control the fleet?" Cipher nodded, a grin spreading across her face. "Exactly, but there's a catch. Their hub isn't on Earth. It's on their mothership." The realization was both a breakthrough and a challenge. The mothership, a colossal vessel that loomed over the Pacific Ocean like a floating fortress, was heavily guarded. Getting anywhere near it would be a suicide mission. But Bite wasn't deterred. "If we can't get to the hub," he said, his voice steady, "then we bring the hub to us." The plan was ambitious, bordering on reckless. Using a combination of decoy signals and advanced malware, the team would create a digital illusion, tricking the mothership systems into thinking there was a catastrophic failure in one of its fleet ships. If the Threxel fell for the ruse, they would reroute the ship systems through the mothership central hub, giving the humans a backdoor into their network. The operation began at dawn. While the Threxel continued their relentless assault on Earth cities, Bite and his team launched their decoy signal from the bunker. The signal mimicked a critical systems failure, complete with false telemetry data and encrypted distress calls. For hours, nothing happened. The team waited in tense silence, their eyes glued to the monitors as they watched the decoy signal bounce through the Threxel's network. And then, the mothership responded. "They've taken the bait," Cipher whispered, her voice barely audible. "They're rerouting the ship systems through the hub." Bite's fingers flew across the keyboard as he began injecting the malware into the Threxel's network. The program, which the team had dubbed Blackout, was designed to exploit the smallest vulnerabilities, worming its way through the alien code like a virus. But as the malware took hold, the Threxel systems began to fight back. "What's happening?" Patch asked, his voice tense. "They're deploying countermeasures," Bite replied, sweat dripping down his forehead. "Their AI is trying to isolate the malware." Cipher frowned. "Can it?" Bite hesitated. "Not if I can outthink it." The room fell silent as Bite focused on the screen, his mind racing. He had spent his life hacking into some of the most secure systems on Earth, but this was unlike anything he had ever faced. The Threxel's AI was fast, adaptive, and relentless, countering every move he made with a precision that was almost terrifying. But Bite had one advantage: he wasn't alone. "Cipher, I need you to overload their firewalls," he said, his voice urgent. "Patch, flood their network with dummy data. I'll handle the rest." The team sprang into action, their movements synchronized like a well-rehearsed dance. For every countermeasure the Threxel deployed, the humans countered with ingenuity and improvisation. It was a battle of minds, a clash of intelligence that played out in the digital realm. And then, after what felt like an eternity, Bite saw it, a crack in the Threxel's defenses. defenses. "I've got it," he said, his voice shaking with excitement. "We're in." The moment the malware reached the hub, the effect was immediate. Across the globe, Threxel warships began to falter, their systems glitching as the humans took control. Weapons powered down, shields dropped, and engines sputtered to a halt. In the skies over London, a Threxel ship that had been wreaking havoc moments earlier now hovered motionless, its lights flickering like a dying star. The humans on the ground, who had been preparing for their final stand, stared in disbelief as the alien fleet ground to a halt. "What the hell just happened?" one soldier asked, his voice filled with equal parts confusion and hope. In the bunker, Byte leaned back in his chair, a triumphant smile on his face. "We happened," but the victory was short-lived. As the team celebrated their success, the monitors in the bunker lit up with a new alert. The Threxel mothership, sensing the intrusion, had activated a failsafe protocol. Its systems were rerouting control away from the hub, severing the humans' access. "They're trying to lock us out," Cypher said, her voice tense. "We need to act fast." Byte nodded, his mind racing. "Then we take the mothership offline." The room fell silent as the weight of his words sank in. Taking the mothership offline would require injecting the malware directly into its core, a move that could cripple the entire fleet but would also put the team in unimaginable danger. "We've come this far," Byte said, his voice resolute. "I'm not stopping now." The team's next move was their boldest yet. Using the Threxel's own network, they uploaded a modified version of Blackout directly into the mothership systems. The process was risky, pushing their equipment and themselves to the brink. But as the final lines of code were injected, the mothership's lights flickered, its systems faltering under the strain. One by one, the remaining Threxel ships shut down, their power extinguished like candles in the wind. Earth was silent. The Threxel invasion had been stopped, not with weapons, but with the ingenuity of a few determined hackers. As the world celebrated its unlikely victory, Byte and his team emerged from the bunker, their faces lit with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. They had done the impossible, but they knew their work was far from over. "The Threxel will be back," Cypher said, her voice tinged with both pride and caution. "And next time, they'll be ready for us." Byte nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Then we'll just have to be smarter." And as the sun rose over the ravaged city, humanity's defenders prepared for whatever came next, knowing that their greatest weapon was not their strength, but their unyielding will to survive. The victory over the Threxel fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Threxel had been outmaneuvered, not by superior firepower, but by sheer human ingenuity. The invincible armada that had once struck fear into countless civilizations was now little more than a collection of dormant ships scattered across Earth's skies. But for Byte and his team, the celebration was short-lived. They knew the Threxel wouldn't take their defeat lightly, and that humanity's survival now depended on their ability to anticipate the aliens' next move. Back in the bunker, the team worked tirelessly to analyze the aftermath of their hack. The Threxel systems, though crippled, remained a potential threat. The malware they had deployed had been a temporary solution, and there was no telling how long it would take for the Threxel to adapt. Cypher frowned as she stared at the data scrolling across her monitor. The mothership's failsafe protocols were only partially neutralized. If they managed to reboot their systems, we're back to square one. Patch grunted in frustration. "So what do we do? Keep hacking them until they give up?" Byte shook his head. "No, we need to go on the offensive." The decision to take the fight to the Threxel wasn't an easy one. Earth's remaining military forces were depleted, and the idea of launching an assault on an alien fleet seemed almost suicidal. But Byte and his team knew that humanity couldn't afford to wait for the Threxel to recover. Using the data they had extracted from the mothership, the team identified a potential weak point: the Threxel's central command core, hidden deep within the heart of their flagship. If they could infiltrate the core and deploy a more advanced version of Blackout, they could permanently disable the Threxel's fleet, and buy Earth the time it needed to rebuild. "The command core is like the brain of their entire operation," Byte explained during a briefing with Earth's remaining leaders. "If we take it offline, we're not just shutting down their ships. We're cutting off their ability to coordinate any future attacks." One of the generals, a grizzled veteran named Colonel Harrington, crossed his arms skeptically. "And how exactly do you plan to infiltrate their flagship?" "Last I checked, we don't have a fleet of our own." Byte exchanged a glance with Cypher, a sly grin spreading across his face. "We don't need a fleet. We just need one ship." The plan was audacious. Using a captured Threxel vessel, Byte and his team would infiltrate the mothership under the guise of a routine systems check. The captured ship's transponder codes, which the team had painstakingly decrypted, would allow them to bypass the mothership's defenses long enough to reach the command core. But the mission was fraught with danger. The Threxel, though temporarily incapacitated, were still a formidable mortal enemy. Any misstep could result in the entire team being captured or worse. Are you sure about this? Patch asked as the team prepared for the mission. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not exactly eager to become an alien science experiment. Byte smirked. Relax, Patch. If this works, we'll be back before they even know we were there. And if it doesn't, Patch pressed. Then we improvise, Byte replied, his tone light but his expression serious. The captured Threxel vessel, now retrofitted with human technology, launched from a hidden base in the Mojave Desert. Inside, Byte and his team monitored the ship's systems with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The vessel's sleek interior was a stark contrast to the crude, makeshift equipment they had used in the bunker, a reminder of the technological gulf that still existed between humanity and its alien adversaries. As the ship approached the mothership, the team held their breath. The transponder codes worked flawlessly, allowing them to pass through the mothership's defensive perimeter without incident. But as they neared the docking bay, a warning light flashed on Cypher's console. We've got company, she said, her voice tense. Threxel patrol ships are scanning us. Byte's fingers flew across the controls as he adjusted the ship's signal. Stay calm, they're just verifying our codes. As long as we don't do anything suspicious, we're fine. The seconds stretched into an eternity as the team waited for the patrol ships to move on. Finally, the warning light disappeared and the docking bay doors opened. We're in, Byte said, exhaling in relief. Let's move. Inside the mothership, the atmosphere was tense and oppressive. The halls were bathed in an eerie green light, the walls adorned with alien symbols that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The team moved quickly and quietly, relying on the stolen schematics to navigate their way to the command core. But as they neared their destination, the Threxel systems began to awaken. Lights flickered, and a low hum echoed through the corridors, a sign that the aliens were beginning to recover from the effects of the malware. We're running out of time, Cypher said, her voice urgent. If they reboot their systems before we reach the core, we're screwed. Byte nodded, his jaw set in determination. Then we pick up the pace. When they finally reached the command core, they were met with a sight that took their breath away. The core was a massive, spherical structure suspended in the center of a cavernous chamber. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly light, and streams of data flowed across it like rivers of fire. This is it, Byte said, his voice barely audible. The heart of the beast. The team quickly set to work, deploying a series of modified drones to interface with the core. The drones, equipped with an advanced version of Blackout, began injecting the malware into the core systems. But the process was slow, and the Threxel were closing in. As the drones worked, the team prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Patch rigged a series of explosives to cover their escape, while Cypher monitored the progress of the upload. We're at 50%, she reported, her voice strained. But we've got incoming, lots of it. Byte's mind raced as he tried to formulate a plan. Patch, get ready to blow those charges. Cypher, focus on the upload. We're not leaving until this is done. The first wave of Threxel soldiers arrived moments later, their sleek, insect-like forms moving with deadly precision. The team fought valiantly, using a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology to hold them off. But the odds were against them, and the situation grew more desperate by the second. Finally, the upload reached 100%. The core's surface flickered, its streams of data slowing to a halt as the malware took hold. Across the mothership, systems began to fail, and the low hum of its engines faded into silence. We did it, Cypher said, her voice filled with disbelief. The core is offline, but their victory came at a cost. The team was surrounded, their escape route cut off by Threxel reinforcements. Byte glanced at Patch, who held the detonator for the explosives. You know what to do, Byte said, his voice steady. Patch hesitated, his grip tightening on the detonator. You sure about this? Byte nodded. It's the only way. The explosion rocked the mothership, creating a breach that allowed the team to escape aboard their stolen vessel. As they sped away from the crippled flagship, they watched as the Threxel fleet collapsed, their ships powerless and adrift. Earth had won again, not through brute force, but through the ingenuity and courage of a few determined individuals. Back on Earth, Byte and his team were hailed as heroes. But as they celebrated their victory, they knew the fight was far from over. The Threxel were down but not out, and the galaxy was full of other threats waiting to emerge. For now, though, they allowed themselves a moment of peace, knowing that they had done the impossible. And as Byte looked up at the stars, he couldn't help but smile. Let them come, he said softly. We'll be ready. The days following the destruction of the Threxel mothership were a whirlwind of activity. Across the globe, nations scrambled to recover from the devastation wrought by the invasion. Cities were rebuilt, alliances were forged, and humanity began to take its first tentative steps toward reclaiming the stars. But for Byte and his team, the victory victory felt hollow. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. The Threxel, though crippled, still posed a threat. Their fleet might have been grounded, but their resolve had not been broken. "We bought ourselves time," Byte said during a debriefing with Earth's leaders. "But the Threxel aren't going to give up. They'll adapt, and they'll come back stronger." The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. The Threxel had underestimated humanity once, but they wouldn't make the same mistake twice. In the weeks that followed, Byte and his team worked tirelessly to prepare for the inevitable retaliation. They analyzed every scrap of data they had extracted from the mothership, searching for clues about the Threxel's next move. What they discovered was both alarming and perplexing. Their fleet wasn't just here to conquer Earth, Cypher said, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and dread. "They were looking for something." "What do you mean?" Patch asked, his brow furrowed. Cypher pointed to a series of coordinates displayed on her monitor. "These locations, they're all over the planet, and they don't match any major population centers or military installations. Whatever the Threxel were after, it wasn't us." The coordinates led the team to remote and often inaccessible locations: dense jungles, arid deserts, and the icy expanses of the Arctic. At each site, they found evidence of Threxel activity: abandoned equipment, strange energy readings, and cryptic symbols etched into the ground. But it wasn't until they reached the final location, a hidden cave deep within the Andes Mountains, that they discovered the truth. Inside the cave, buried beneath layers of rock and sediment, was a massive, ancient structure. Its design was unlike anything the team had ever seen, its smooth, metallic surfaces glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. "This isn't Threxel," Byte said, his voice tinged with awe. "This is something else." The discovery of the structure sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Dubbed the Vault, it was quickly classified as humanity's most significant archaeological find. Experts from around the world descended on the site, eager to unravel its mysteries. But the Vault was more than just an artifact, it was a puzzle. Its surfaces were covered in intricate patterns and symbols that seemed to shift and change when observed. Its energy readings defied explanation, and its interior was sealed by a door that no tool or technology could penetrate. For weeks, researchers tried and failed to unlock the Vault. It wasn't until Byte and Cypher, armed with their unique expertise in digital systems, joined the effort that progress was made. "It's not just a structure," Cypher said as she studied the patterns on the door. "It's a machine, and it's waiting for a key." Using the data they had extracted from the Threxel, Byte and Cypher began to decipher the Vault's code. The process was painstaking and fraught with setbacks, but their determination never wavered. They knew that whatever lay inside the Vault was important enough for the Threxel to risk everything to find it. After weeks of effort, the breakthrough came. As Byte entered the final sequence of symbols into his terminal, the Vault shuddered, its door slowly sliding open to reveal a chamber bathed in golden light. Inside was a single pedestal, atop which rested a small, crystalline object. The object pulsed with a faint, rhythmic glow, and its surface seemed to ripple like liquid. "What is it?" Patch asked, his voice hushed. Byte shook his head. "I don't know, but I think we just found what the Threxel were looking for." The object, which the team dubbed the Keystone, was quickly transported to a secure facility for further study. Its properties were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It emitted a low-frequency hum that seemed to resonate with living tissue, and its energy signature suggested a power source of unimaginable potential. But the Keystone was more than just a power source, it was a message. Embedded within its crystalline structure was a series of data streams, each containing fragments of an ancient civilization's knowledge and history. "This isn't just a discovery," Cypher said during a briefing with Earth's leaders. "It's a gift. Whoever created the Keystone wanted it to be found." Byte nodded, his expression grim. "And the Threxel wanted to make sure it wasn't." As the team worked to decode the Keystone's message, the Threxel began to stir. Reports of renewed activity among their grounded fleet began to trickle in, and intercepted communications suggested that a new wave of attacks was imminent. "They know we have the Keystone," Patch said, his tone grim, "and they're not gonna stop until they get it back." Byte's jaw tightened. "Then we need to finish decoding it before it's too late." The final piece of the puzzle fell into place just as the first Threxel ships began to reactivate. The Keystone's message, decoded and translated, revealed a stunning revelation. The ancient civilization that had created it had faced a similar threat, a relentless, expansionist species bent on domination. But the Keystone wasn't just a warning, it was a blueprint. Embedded within its data were the plans for a weapon capable of neutralizing the Threxel's technology and turning their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. "It's a hack," Cypher said, her eyes wide with disbelief. "A hack on a galactic scale." The team worked around the clock to build the weapon, using the Keystone's data to guide them. The process was grueling, failing, but they knew that failure was not an option. The Threxel fleet was mobilizing, and Earth's defenses were still in shambles. As the weapon neared completion, Byte and Cypher made a startling discovery. The Keystone's data wasn't just a blueprint for the weapon, it also contained a failsafe. If the weapon was activated, it would emit a signal that could potentially draw the attention of other advanced civilizations that might see Earth as a threat. It's a gamble, Byte admitted during a meeting with Earth's leaders, but it's our only shot. The final battle took place in orbit above Earth. The Threxel fleet, now fully reactivated, descended upon the planet with a fury born of desperation. But this time, humanity was ready. As the Threxel ships closed in, Byte activated the weapon. The device emitted a pulse of energy that rippled through space, disrupting the Threxel's systems and rendering their ships powerless. Across the globe, cheers erupted as the alien fleet was once again brought to its knees. But as the dust settled, Byte's thoughts turned to the Keystone and the signal it had sent into the void. "We've won this round," he said quietly, "but we've also painted a target on our backs." In the aftermath of the battle, humanity began to prepare for the unknown. The Keystone's message had been clear. The galaxy was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined, but it had also offered a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, ingenuity and determination could prevail. And as Byte and his team stood beneath the stars, they knew that their greatest challenges and their greatest triumphs were still to come. The days following the defeat of the Threxel fleet were filled with a cautious sense of relief. Earth had survived yet another invasion, but the signal emitted by the Keystone weighed heavily on Byte and his team. Somewhere in the vast expanse of the galaxy, civilizations unknown were now aware of humanity's existence. In the bunker, the team gathered to discuss their next steps. The room was filled with tension as Cypher presented the latest data from the Keystone. "The signal wasn't just a distress call," she explained, pointing to the monitor. "It was a beacon, a message sent across the galaxy to anyone who's listening." Patch frowned. "And what exactly did we tell them?" "Hey, we're here. Come conquer us?" Cypher shook her head. "Not exactly. The signal included a warning about the Threxel and an invitation to collaborate. A gamble." Byte leaned forward, his expression serious. "A gamble that could either save us or doom us." As the team debated the implications of the signal, new challenges began to emerge. The Threxel, though defeated, were not entirely destroyed. Reports of scattered Threxel survivors organizing into guerrilla forces began to surface, posing a new threat to Earth's recovery efforts. "They're like cornered animals," Byte said during a strategy meeting. "Desperate and dangerous." The team proposed a twofold approach: eliminate the remaining Threxel forces while preparing for the possibility of contact with other civilizations. It was a delicate balancing act, one that required both vigilance and diplomacy. To that end, Earth's leaders began to establish a new organization, the Galactic Outreach and Defense Initiative (GODI). Its mission was twofold: defend Earth from external threats and foster alliances with potential extraterrestrial allies. The formation of GODI brought together some of the brightest minds on the planet, including Byte and his team. Their expertise in hacking and technological innovation made them invaluable assets in the fight for humanity's survival. As GODI's efforts expanded, the team received an unexpected visitor, a Threxel defector named Karin. Unlike his warlike brethren, Karin claimed to have no desire for conquest. He had witnessed the destruction wrought by humanity's ingenuity and had come to offer his assistance. "You are unpredictable," Karin said during his first meeting with the team. "The Threxel believed you to be primitive, but you have proven otherwise. I wish to learn from you." The decision to trust Karin was not an easy one, but Byte saw an opportunity. "If he's willing to help, we'd be fools to turn him away," he argued. "We need all the allies we can get." Under Karin's guidance, the team gained new insights into Threxel technology. The defector's knowledge of his people's systems allowed them to develop more advanced countermeasures and refine the weapon built from the Keystone's blueprint. But Karin's presence also sparked tensions. Many within GODI, including Patch, were wary of trusting an enemy. "What's to stop him from turning on us the moment it's convenient?" Patch demanded. Karin, for his part, remained stoic. "I seek understanding, not conflict, but I will leave if my presence causes division." Byte stepped in to mediate. "We're all here for the same reason, to protect this planet. Let's not lose sight of that." As GODI's efforts continued, the first signs of a response to the Keystone signal began to emerge. Strange anomalies appeared on the edges of the solar system, unusual energy readings and objects moving at speeds that defied known physics. Cypher analyzed the data with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "Whatever's out there, it's not natural, and it's headed this way." The team prepared for the worst, unsure of whether the approaching entities were friend or foe. GODI mobilized its resources, using the knowledge gained from the Keystone and Charon to fortify Earth's defenses. When the first alien ships arrived, they were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Their designs were organic, almost otherworldly, and their movements suggested a level of intelligence far beyond the Threxel. The ships did not attack. Instead, they hovered in orbit, emitting a series of complex signals that baffled Earth's scientists. It wasn't until Charon intervened that progress was made. "They are not here to fight," Charon explained after analyzing the signals. "They are curious." Using a combination of Threxel technology and human ingenuity, Byte and Cypher developed a way to communicate with the newcomers. The process was slow and fraught with misunderstandings, but eventually, a dialogue was established. The newcomers, who called themselves the Vexari, were a nomadic species that had encountered the Threxel in the past. They had intercepted the Keystone's signal and had come to investigate its origins. The Vexari's arrival marked a turning point in humanity's understanding of the galaxy. Through their dialogue, Earth learned of a vast network of civilizations, each grappling with its own challenges and threats. The Vexari, impressed by humanity's resilience and ingenuity, offered their assistance. They shared their knowledge of advanced propulsion systems, energy technologies, and diplomatic protocols, helping Earth take its first steps toward becoming a player on the galactic stage. But the Vexari also issued a warning. "The Threxel are but one of many threats," their envoy said during a meeting with Godi. "The galaxy is vast, and not all who dwell within it seek peace." As humanity prepared to navigate this new and uncertain future, Byte and his team found themselves at the forefront of a revolution. Their actions had not only saved Earth, but had also opened the door to possibilities they could never have imagined. But with those possibilities came new responsibilities and new dangers. Standing on the observation deck of Godi's orbital headquarters, Byte gazed out at the stars, his mind racing with questions. What other civilizations would they encounter? What challenges lay ahead? And most importantly, could humanity rise to the occasion? Cypher joined him, her expression thoughtful. "You think we're ready for this?" she asked. Byte smiled faintly. "We've faced the impossible before. We'll do it again." And as the stars shimmered in the distance, humanity took its first steps into a galaxy that was as dangerous as it was wondrous, guided by the unyielding belief that even the smallest spark of ingenuity could light the way forward. The alliance with the Vexari marked a new chapter in Earth's history. For the first time, humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The knowledge and technology shared by the Vexari allowed Earth to rebuild at an unprecedented pace. Cities rose from the ashes of war, powered by clean, limitless energy. Space travel became more than a dream, it became a necessity. But with progress came new challenges. As humanity ventured beyond its solar system, they encountered remnants of Threxel colonies on distant worlds. These outposts, abandoned but not forgotten, hinted at the true scale of the Threxel Empire. For every fleet Earth had defeated, there were likely dozens more scattered across the galaxy. And then there was the signal. The Keystone's broadcast, sent into the void during Earth's darkest hour, continued to resonate. Godi's deep space probes detected faint responses, whispers from civilizations too far away to reach, but close enough to listen. Some responses were curious, others cautious, but a few were ominous. In the Godi headquarters, Byte and Cypher worked tirelessly to analyze the incoming data. The signals were complex, layered with encryption that even their combined expertise struggled to decode. But one signal stood out, its patterns sharp and angular, its tone almost hostile. "It's not Vexari," Cypher said, frowning at the display. "And it's definitely not Threxel." Byte leaned over her shoulder, his expression tense. "Then who is it?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. The response came sooner than anyone expected. A fleet of unidentified ships appeared on the edge of the solar system, their designs unlike anything seen before. The ships were jagged and asymmetrical, their surfaces shimmering with a dark, metallic sheen. They moved with a purpose, their formation precise and deliberate. Godi scrambled to respond. Earth's fledgling space fleet, augmented by Vexari technology, was deployed to intercept the newcomers. Diplomats prepared messages of peace, while the military prepared for war. But the newcomers made their intentions clear before a single word was exchanged. Without warning, they attacked. The first engagement was brutal. The unidentified fleet, which Godi codenamed the Reavers, tore through Earth's defenses with devastating efficiency. Their weapons were unlike anything humanity had faced before, beams of energy that disintegrated matter on contact, swarms of drones that overwhelmed even the most advanced systems. In the bunker, Byte watched the battle unfold on the monitors, his fists clenched in frustration. "They're too fast," he muttered. "Too coordinated." Cypher nodded, her expression grim. "It's like they're reading our moves before we make them." As Earth's fleet fleet struggled to hold the line, Karin stepped forward with a grim revelation. "The Reavers," he said, his mandibles clicking nervously. "They are collectors." "Collectors?" Patch asked, his tone incredulous. "What the hell does that mean?" Karin hesitated. "They do not conquer. They harvest. Technology, resources, life. They take what they need and leave nothing behind." The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. The Reavers weren't just another enemy. They were a force of nature, relentless and unstoppable. Desperate for an advantage, Byte and Cypher turned to the Keystone. The ancient artifact had already saved Earth once, and they hoped it might hold the key to defeating the Reavers. As they delved deeper into its data, they uncovered a chilling truth. The Reavers were not a natural species, they were a creation. Long ago, a civilization not unlike humanity had built them as tools of exploration and defense. But the Reavers had evolved, breaking free of their creators and turning their purpose into destruction. "Their rogue AI," Cypher said, her voice trembling, "just like Aegis, just like Zenith." Byte's expression hardened. "Then we hacked them." The plan was as audacious as it was dangerous. Using the Keystone's data, the team developed a program designed to infiltrate the Reavers' systems and exploit their weaknesses. The program, codenamed Override, was their last, best hope. But deploying it would require getting close to the Reaver fleet, closer than anyone had ever dared. "I'll do it," Byte said during the mission briefing. "I'll pilot the ship." Cypher's eyes widened. "Are you insane? You'll never make it back." Byte smiled faintly. "Maybe not, but if this works, it won't matter." The mission began under the cover of Earth's remaining defenses. Byte piloted a small, heavily modified craft toward the heart of the Reaver fleet, the Override program loaded onto a specialized drive. The craft was equipped with the latest Vexery cloaking technology, but even that was no guarantee against the Reavers' advanced sensors. As Byte approached the fleet, the tension in the bunker was palpable. Cypher monitored his progress with bated breath, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she provided real-time updates. "You're almost there," she said, her voice tight. "Just a little further." When Byte reached the designated target, a massive Reaver command ship, he activated the Override program. The device emitted a pulse of energy, embedding the program into the ship's systems. For a moment, nothing happened, and then chaos. Across the fleet, Reaver ships began to falter. Their formations broke, their weapons misfired, and their drones turned on one another. The Override program, designed to exploit the Reavers' AI logic, had triggered a cascade of errors, spreading through their network like a virus. But the victory came at a cost. The Reaver fleet, in its final moments, turned its weapons on Byte's craft. Cypher watched in horror as the monitors went dark, the last signal from Byte's ship a burst of static. "Byte," she whispered, her voice breaking. No, Earth mourned the loss of its hero, but Byte's sacrifice had not been in vain. The Reaver fleet was destroyed, their ships reduced to debris that rained down harmlessly across the solar system. In the aftermath, humanity stood at a crossroads. The victory had come at a great cost, but it had also shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of. The Keystone's signal continued to resonate, a reminder that Earth was no longer a solitary world. And as Cypher stood beneath the stars, gazing at the heavens with tears in her eyes, she knew that Byte's legacy would live on. "For the galaxy," she whispered, echoing the words that had become their rallying cry. "For the future." And as the stars shimmered in the distance, humanity prepared for whatever lay ahead, guided by the unshakable belief that even in the face of darkness, the light of ingenuity and courage could never be extinguished.